Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jade Monkey. We're back here in DayZ 1.10. I'm on the Xbox Series X, and we're talking about the current state of the game for all platform owners. We're talking PS5, Xbox One, Series X, Series S, Xbox One X, PS4, PC, all that good stuff. So let me go ahead and show you. With the current version we're talking from, and our current experience from experimental to here to the live branch is 1.10.153.566. Now I'm putting that out there because I know there could easily be a patch in the future where maybe some of these things have been fixed, which I hope so. So we're going over the current state of the game, some of the gotchas, and the things we've experienced up to this point. And if you're a player that's been waiting for a while, I know 109 had a lot of issues. We pretty much had to take a break from the game from 109 because the loot was so bad. So we're going to give you an update to be like, hey, is it good? Is it bad? So first things first, to address that. So 109 has severe loot problems. The despawn timers were really cattywampus. So it turns out they went back and adjusted them to the way they used to be. So in turn, what that feels like for actual players unofficial is the loot is back. Things are respawning correctly. Things are despawning correctly. That is great. So yeah, so you can come back. You can actually survive the coast on a high population server. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. That was a huge one. So the loot has returned. To go on to the issue of car performance, and we have a car right here. It looks like, okay, so we did a couple of videos about performance with the Series X and mixed geographical locations, and to show how good or bad it was. It turns out the version we were on in experimental was actually extremely stable. Now, again, we had some population spikes when we did it on experimental, but here's the deal, right? We recently did this, and it was terrible. So, I don't know what version they put out there, but it feels like some of the things that were actually fixed are no longer fixed. So just be aware, even if you're playing on a high-end, PS4 or Xbox One, you're still going to have issues. And even if you're on the next generation, if you're lucky enough to have a PS5 or an Xbox Series, anything, just know the cars are crazy. Now, on community servers where there's less traffic, I think it's a little better. But dare I say, it may even be worse than it's ever been, because we're on a higher end. I'm on a Series X, and we had crazy issues with driving on the current live branch. So we'll keep testing it out. So what that translates to is, if you're going to use them, I would suggest not to. Maybe store some of the loot, and then when things get stable or we get a hot fix, we'll see how good or bad it is, and then you can use those said parts to come back and put together cars and trucks. But I would strongly suggest, if you're going to drive, to be excessively slow, because it's not just lag, like it's super lag. Like it will throw you into something with zero warning, like worse than it has been before, and we've been playing this for years. So just so you know. Trucks are cool. They're awesome. They're huge. They're monstrous loot machines. I've done a few videos on those. I'll go ahead and link that now in the upper right-hand corner. But trucks are good, but you still have these crazy latency issues no matter what you're driving. So I would suggest the trucks are a little better because you're going so slow, but you can still have these crazy issues. And sometimes they're not even in load zones. So I would say maybe stay away from them. If you want to experiment with them, sure, go ahead, jump in there and give it a whirl. But just expect to wreck the thing. Yeah. So, and if you're looking for trucks and you're like, hey, where do I find them? iSurvive did update, and just know that all trucks that you see in the world aren't necessarily drivable. The ones with canvas tops are the ones that you can drive and put together. And they are pretty rare. They are only, what, 5 or 8 of them on a board at one time, and a lot of people have been going for them, so it's going to be probably pretty difficult. But hey, at the rate they're getting wrecked, maybe you'll see them in the respawn quicker than you think. Who knows? Okay, so when this comes back and eventually the cars are to the level we saw them in experimental, here's what we learned. If you're going to drive around, you want somebody with either a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One X, or somebody in a PS5 and or a Series X or S. Now, because we even did it in different geographical locations and different consoles, and it was really good for the driver. For the passengers, not so much, but hey, it doesn't matter. They're passengers, right? So when that happens in the future, and I hope it does, because honestly, it was the sub patch just before this one. It was running great. So when that does happen, just know the person with the better console should be the driver almost at all times. Now, you do see just little spurts of lag when it's running the way it should, so just stay clear of heavy load zones, but for the most part, it's going to be money whenever that comes in. So apparently it's not right now. Yeah, boo. And to address another thing, since we have the next generation consoles in play now, just know that they are no different than your PS4 or Xbox. They just run better hardware, and you're running the same game. The same characters, the same place, everything is still the same. You can play with your friends. That is a thing. It's not in its own walled garden, if that makes any sense at all. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's talk about desync for the next piece here. I'm on an active server, so I'm a little paranoid. So let's talk about desync. Desync we've seen sporadically. Here's how this works. I don't think it's the type of desync we've seen in the past. I think it's a different type. Am I doing it as frequently as 108 or 109? No. Does it seem a bit more manageable? Yes. Is it still around? Yes, in weird ways. It's almost like some of the old stuff has kind of crept in again, like the weird vehicles and now the desync. So hopefully the next hot patch will fix it. But so yeah, that's desync. It's around, but it's not nearly as bad. We had I don't know if this is even still a thing, but if you see this, sometimes you'll see something in your hand, or you think you have it in your hand and you don't. The general fix for desync, or even the wheel glitch, is going to be to sign out and sign back in. So just know that if you're having issues and things aren't interacting, just either check to see if it's ruined, or just sign in and out and you'll be fine. Just keep that in mind. That's been the fix for for like a year at least. So that's how that's going. Let's see what else we got here. The loot's back. The vehicles are pretty erratic. We've got the desync. Duping, I think, was fixed, or at least the mainline duping. I heard there's another technique. Not that we stay up on these entirely, but for the most part, I think it's been curtailed, at least until whenever the next one hits. You're seeing a lot of very large bases. Maybe that has something to do with some of the latency issues. We're not sure. With the flag system in, it will despawn those structures much faster. Although I suspect in the next update or even hotfix, we're probably going to see some changes in the despawn timer for the flagpoles and stuff, because these massive bases that have been abandoned are taking a toll on the server, and I suspect that's where some of these issues come from. But yeah, so if you've been waiting, it's a good time to come back. Just know it's still DayZ, and there's still going to be some issues we're dealing with. But overall, the game is still a ton of fun. We're always playing it over on Official. We were kind of sad that we couldn't play it in 109, so we're glad that it's come back, and it's at least playable for us in 110. And you know, it's got some nuances here and there, but for the most part, we're getting in the mix on Official. So if you found this useful and helpful, please drop a like, and if you are interested in the type of content that I do, consider dropping a subscribe and turning on notifications if you think it's something you're into. And yeah, we'll see you in the next live stream / video, as we are playing this quite often over on Official. We'll be bouncing between a few other titles, but for the most part, we'll be here on the console side of things on Official, just because that's where all the fun is, especially around prime time, baby, prime time PvP. That's usually the best time. People always ask us when we're playing, hey man, is this like a modded server? I'm like, no, it's this crazy on Official around this time. So anyways, alright, we'll see you guys in the next video. Love you, bye! Let's just light this car up. I've been dying to do this the whole time. Probably not the smartest thing I've ever done. People are probably coming for me now. What? Am I jammed? Oh, I know why. Because my clip is empty and that's the only one I have. Duh. Okay, for real. We'll see you later. Bye! I'm hiding.